She had planned the perfect romantic dinner, only to walk in on her fiancé with another woman. Betrayed and with nowhere to go, she ran without a destination. That's when she met a proud, arrogant millionaire incapable of love, until she came along. Two broken hearts, one unexpected feeling. But is love enough when the past refuses to let go? If you love emotional stories, full of twists and unexpected encounters, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell, because this story will capture your heart. At the end of that cloudy afternoon, a light drizzle barely kissing the pavement, Amelia stepped off the bus with an innocent sparkle in her eyes and a paper grocery bag in her arms. She had left work early. In a rush, she had carefully chosen every ingredient. She wanted to surprise him. She wanted to win him back. Wine, fresh pasta, his favorite sauce, and even a key lime pie, a dessert she didn't even like, but learned to make just to see him smile. Her steps, though hurried, felt light. It was as if something beautiful was about to happen. For days she had been planning this, a simple gesture but full of love. After so many arguments, silent nights and distant looks, she believed this dinner could reignite something between them. Arriving at her apartment building, she climbed the stairs with hope swelling in her chest. Her heart pounded. Maybe tonight was the night they would reconnect. She turned the key carefully, trying to be quiet for the surprise. But something made her stop. The door! It wasn't locked. She entered slowly, took off her shoes, left the grocery bag in the kitchen, but there was a strange silence, thick, almost suffocating. And then the sound. Muffled laughter, moans, voices, one of them unmistakable his, the other feminine, soft, far too intimate to be anything else. Amelia's body froze. The blood in her veins seemed to stop. Every step towards the bedroom was torture, and the closer she got, the clearer the truth she didn't want to see became. The half-open door revealed what her heart already knew, but was fighting to deny. There before her was Ryan, the man she loved, with someone else. In their bed, Amelia didn't scream, didn't cry, didn't run. She just stood there, motionless, as if the world had stopped with her. Ryan? Her voice came out weak, a whisper broken by pain. He turned, his face a mask of shock, his naked body. The woman beside him scrambling to cover herself. Mia, wait, it's not what you think. His voice was trembling, desperate. But Amelia, standing at the bedroom door, let out a short, bitter laugh. It's not, she murmured, her eyes welling up. Then help me understand, because I'm pretty sure I get it. Ryan shot up, trying to hide behind the sheet, ashamed. But she had already looked away. The world around her seemed to spin. The floor unstable, her heart pounding like a drum of despair. She walked back to the living room, her eyes blurred by tears, her body shaking. Without thinking, she grabbed the bag of groceries and threw it straight into the trash. That surprise, that care, it was all meaningless now. She went to the bedroom, pulled open the closet in a numb, automatic gesture. She grabbed a suitcase and started throwing clothes inside, not folding, not looking, not thinking. Ryan followed, trying to speak, stumbling over empty words. Mia, listen. It was a mistake. It just happened tonight, I swear. She stopped, looked him in the eye. It only happened tonight because I came home early, didn't it? Her voice was filled with a mix of hurt and quiet fury. What about the nights I worked late, while I was exhausting myself, believing you were waiting for me? What were you doing? What else didn't I see? He lowered his head. Silence. She zipped the suitcase shut with a sharp tug, threw on the first coat she found, tied her hair back messily, and walked out of the room with firm steps, but a shattered heart. She stopped at the front door. Turned one last time. You destroyed everything I believed in, but you won't destroy the woman I am. And she left. Outside, the drizzle continued. Amelia walked without direction, dragging her suitcase on the wet asphalt. Each step felt heavier than the last, as if she were carrying the weight of a collapsed world. With cold hands, she pulled her phone from her pocket. She thought about calling her parents. Back in their small town upstate, in that cozy restaurant full of stories and steaming pots. But she didn't want to give them more to worry about. Not now. I can't. Not today, she whispered to herself. That's when an image of Chloe popped into her mind. Her best friend, her complete opposite, intense, wealthy, brutally honest, and with the biggest heart in the world. Amelia opened her phone. With her fingers still shaking, she typed, "Hey, can I crash at your place tonight? I'll explain later." As soon as she hit send, she put her phone away and looked around. She was in Midtown, not far from where Chloe lived. She needed to find a cab or an Uber, but they all seemed to vanish in the rain. The wind blew hard. Amelia hugged herself. She was freezing. It was then that she saw a taxi approaching from a side street, a rare lit-up beacon in the storm. She quickened her pace, ran to the curb, and raised her arm. The car was slowing down. It was stopping, but someone emerged from the opposite side, walking towards it. Tall, in a dark overcoat with an impatient look, he strode forward and, without a glance in her direction, opened the taxi door. "Hey," Amelia protested, stunned. "I was here first." The man turned his head, looked her up and down. His gaze was firm, cold, but it held something provocative. "And what do you want me to do? Hold a raffle?" he replied with an arrogant tone, getting into the car. Amelia stepped forward, her voice trembling. I just need to get somewhere. I've been in the rain for hours, please." He hesitated for a second. His eyes met hers, and there, for the first time, he noticed the tears mixed with the rain, the broken look in her eyes, the trembling of her hands. And for a reason he couldn't understand himself, he let out an impatient sigh and pushed the car door open, mumbling, "Get in before I change my mind." She looked at him suspiciously but got in. Silence. The taxi moved through the soaked streets, and the only sound inside was the hard patter of rain against the window. She clutched her suitcase. He was typing on his phone, indifferent. At one point, he glanced at her from the corner of his eye and said, as if speaking to a stranger in an elevator, "You should pick better places to cry." Amelia slowly turned her head. "Excuse me." "Crying in the middle of the street with no idea where you're going. It's like a scene from a bad movie," he said without looking up from his screen. She pressed her lips together, trying to contain her indignation. She didn't know who he was, but she already knew she didn't like him. "And you should pick your words more carefully, especially when you have no idea what someone is going through." He finally looked at her, and for a second, that arrogant gaze seemed to falter. But it was quick. "Touché, noted," he said with a slight raise of his eyebrow. The car stopped. "Is this good for you?" the driver asked. She looked out the window. It was Chloe's building on the Upper East Side. She nodded, grabbed her suitcase, opened the door, and got out without looking back. Before she slammed the door, she heard his voice, low. "Good luck with whatever it is." She didn't answer. She just walked to the front door. When Amelia arrived at Chloe's building, her heart was still pounding. Trying to stay upright in the chaos, she buzzed the intercom with trembling fingers. "Mia?" Chloe's voice sounded surprised but warm. "Come on up, I'm buzzing you in." The lock clicked open. Amelia entered, rode the elevator in silence, and soon the apartment door swung open. Chloe was there in sweats, barefoot, with a glass of wine in her hand and a confused expression. "Oh my God, Mia," she said, pulling her friend inside. "What happened?" Amelia could barely answer. She dropped her suitcase in a corner and collapsed into her friend's arms. She cried like she'd been holding it all in for a long time. Chloe just held her, stroking her hair in silence. No questions, no rush. Minutes later, on the couch, with a blanket over her legs and a mug of hot tea in her hands, Amelia started to talk. "I caught Ryan with someone else. In our bed tonight." Chloe's eyes widened, but she didn't seem entirely surprised. "Oh, Mia." "I left work early. I wanted to make a special dinner. I bought everything. And when I got home," she paused, taking a deep breath. "He was with her." Chloe grimaced, leaning back on the couch. "Look, I know this isn't the best time to say this, but I saw this coming for a while now." Amelia frowned, confused. "What do you mean?" "Friend, the way he treated you. In public, in conversations. He always seemed to be tolerating you, not loving you. Always an excuse, always distant. You never thought that was weird." I just thought he was a private person, you know. No, Mia, he was disinterested, cold. You could see he didn't love you the way you loved him." Amelia felt a tightness in her chest. Her voice came out quieter. "But why didn't you ever tell me?" Chloe sighed and looked at her with an expression of someone who had been there before. "Because you were in denial. You were living in a world where you wouldn't listen to anyone. You were trying to save a sinking ship all by yourself, while the rest of us were screaming from the shore." Amelia looked down. It hurt to hear, but it hurt because it was true. "I just wanted it to work," she whispered. "I know, but you were the only one trying." He didn't care. He was just comfortable. It was his apartment, his routine was convenient, and you became a background character in your own story. A silence fell between them. Only the sound of the wall clock marked the time that seemed to have frozen. After a few seconds, Amelia murmured, "I'm done with men, seriously, I'm retiring." Chloe let out a laugh. "Oh, stop it. You've always been a romantic. Mia, you're the type who believes in happy endings." I was. "Now I only believe in wine and my bed," she replied, taking a sip of tea. "You still want it. You just need to fix your radar, girl. Because, honestly, your taste in men is a complete disaster," Chloe said, laughing, pointing her finger playfully but hitting the mark. "I have a gift for picking the absolute worst of every category," Amelia added, with a sad little laugh. "Exactly. So now you have to be more selective. Filters on, got it? Premium filters, bestie," she said, smiling for the first time that night. Chloe reached out and squeezed her hand warmly. "You can stay here as long as you need, okay? No deadline, no pressure. I have 2 spare bedrooms, a full fridge, and almost infinite patience," she joked. "Thanks, Chloe, really." "Just one rule," her friend said, getting up to get more tea. "Stay away from the neighbor in the penthouse, Ethan. Gorgeous, rich and a total train wreck." "Who is he?" Amelia asked, curious. "Penthouse neighbor, charming but a first-class player. You don't need any more trouble right now, Mia." Amelia nodded slowly. The next day, Amelia woke up with her heart still heavy, but the apartment was quiet. Chloe had already left for work. On the kitchen counter, a note in her beautiful handwriting. "Coffee's made. Bagels on the table. And my Wi-Fi is more faithful than Ryan. Make yourself at home. Chloe." Amelia managed a weak smile. The pain was still there, but somehow it felt more bearable. She spent the day unpacking her things, folding clothes, sorting belongings, trying to keep her mind busy. But with every item, a memory returned. Late in the afternoon, she found a small box at the bottom of her purse. She paused, opened it slowly. It was the necklace Ryan had given her on their first anniversary. A simple pendant. She still remembered what he'd said. "It's just a symbol. What matters is what we feel." Now it all sounded fake, cold, empty. Amelia sat on the couch. Her eyes filled up again. She tried to swallow the lump in her throat, but she couldn't. She got up, went to the kitchen. On a shelf she saw a bottle of wine Chloe had left out. She opened it, drank straight from the bottle. With every sip she felt the warmth rise. But the knot in her throat wouldn't go away. Hours later, night had fallen. She went up to the building's rooftop. Chloe had mentioned she sometimes went up there to think. The wind was cold. But the sky was beautiful, dotted with a million city lights. Amelia walked to the edge, looked at the glowing city, took a deep breath. Her eyes were still watery. Silent tears streamed down her face as she murmured in a pained whisper, "How could I have been so naive?" Deep down, I think I always knew. I just didn't want to see it. She let out a frustrated sigh, an outburst, and cried some more. That's when she noticed a presence in the corner of the rooftop, a man sitting, almost hidden in the shadows, quiet, watching the sky. He heard her footsteps but didn't turn around. "Let me guess," he said, still looking at the sky. "You got cheated on, right? And now you're up here drowning your sorrows." Amelia stopped, blinked confused. "Excuse me." He stood up slowly. When the moonlight hit his face, she recognized him. "Oh no," she said, putting a hand to her forehead. "You again?" "Great, the girl from the cab," he replied, rolling his eyes. "I knew all that drama would come back to haunt me." "I'm not being dramatic," she said, taking a deep breath. "I'm just trying to breathe." He shrugged and walked to the railing. "It's always the same. When a heart breaks, people go up high. They think looking down at the city will fix the broken pieces." She stared at him, annoyed. "You talk as if you know everything. As if you understand other people's pain. I don't. But I know how to recognize someone hiding behind a bottle. She bit her lip. The wine had taken effect. And the words came out unfiltered. I just have the worst taste in men. I always have. I give my all, I believe I fight for it. And in the end, this is what's left me alone on the rooftop of a building that isn't even mine. He didn't answer right away. Just kept watching the sky. And you? What are you doing here? I live here, he said as if it were obvious. The penthouse. This rooftop is practically my backyard. Great. Another humiliation to add to my list, she muttered. Ethan turned his face toward her, his gaze calmer now. You can stay, he said. I'm not kicking you out. Amelia looked down, trying to contain her embarrassment. Her voice was low, shaky. It feels like everything is a humiliation lately. Ethan didn't reply. He just took a deep breath, as if he understood more than he wanted to admit. She leaned against the wall, slowly sliding down to the floor. She looked at the sky, at the full moon shining above, and spoke without thinking. You talk like you've been through this before. Heartbreak, betrayal, like you know this pain. He remained silent. He chose not to answer. Amelia gave a humorless laugh. Yeah, of course not. A guy like you must be the type who does the hurting, not the one who gets hurt. Still nothing. She stared into the distance for a moment, then let out as if venting without a filter. I'm done with men, seriously, I'm so tired of this. My judgment is broken. I always pick the wrong one. I give my all, I try so hard. And in the end, I'm the one who ends up alone. I feel ridiculous, stupid, so tired of trying. Ethan came a little closer, crossing his arms. You know, maybe the problem isn't the men. She slowly raised her eyes. What's that supposed to mean? Maybe it's you. All this drama, this intensity, this need to prove you deserve love all the time. She frowned. You don't even know me. I don't have to. I can see it. You wear it all in your eyes. Are you analyzing me now? I'm just trying to help. She scoffed disbelievingly. Help? Are you interested in me, is that it? He let out a low laugh. No, I'm not interested in anyone. Relationships aren't for me. I'm just telling you what I see. Then why do you act like you know so much? Because I do. After years of watching, living, getting involved, I know what people are looking for. And I know what makes them leave. And what do you think makes me end up alone? That part of you. You give everything before you even know if it's worth it. You give too much, you dream too much, you expect too much. And it's scary. People don't want to carry someone else's world. They just want to walk alongside someone, lightly. Amelia fell silent. It hurt to hear, but it was impossible not to think that maybe he was right. Ethan arched an eyebrow, glancing in her direction. What? Cat got your tongue? He asked, with that half-bored, half-provoking tone. She gave a small, sheepish smile. No, I was just thinking about what you said. Because, you're right, all of my relationships have been a disaster. I was always the one who wanted more. The one who loved alone. The one who kept trying long after the other person had given up. He gave a slight smile, that typical ironic one. I knew it. I'm always right. She rolled her eyes, but this time with a faint laugh. Arrogant. Realistic, he countered, turning back to the sky. After a moment, he took a step back. Well, I'll leave you to your dramatic thoughts. Good luck with them. He started to turn, ready to leave, but her voice stopped him. Wait, Amelia said without thinking. He paused. She stood up slowly, approaching him. I really think you're right. About everything you said, and maybe I do need to change. Not for someone else, but for me. Ethan looked at her seriously. Then he let out a soft sigh, as if trying to resist something. I don't know why, but seeing you like this, it bothers me. She stared at him, surprised. Why? I don't know, he said, shrugging. I just know it does. He watched her a little longer, then ran a hand over his chin and said, If you want, I can give you some pointers. Nothing major, just the basics of what makes someone want to stay. No love coaching, just emotional survival. She smiled, a little shy, a little suspicious. And why would you do that? Because you need it. And because honestly I hate people crying on my rooftop. Amelia laughed, a real laugh for the first time that night. Okay, tomorrow then? Tomorrow night. Same place. Deal. He turned and walked down the dark hallway. Before disappearing from sight, he added in a playful tone, and don't tell your friend. I think she hates me more than she should. Not a chance. She'd kill me, Amelia replied, a faint smile still on her face. He paused for a second, looking over his shoulder. Ethan. What? My name. Oh, Amelia, she answered with a shy wave. He just nodded. And then he vanished into the darkness of the hall. Amelia woke up early, her alarm blaring. She hadn't slept much, and her head still ached. Maybe from the wine, maybe from the memories. She got up, got ready, and went straight to work. She tried to act normal, to smile, answer emails, chat with colleagues, but her mind was elsewhere. Again and again she thought about last night's conversation. His words, his directness, the truths that hurt more than she wanted to admit. On her coffee break, she took out her phone and opened the App Store. She stared at the download button for a dating app. She made a face. She thought of Ethan saying, "You give everything before you even know if it's worth it." But she clicked it anyway. Maybe just to see. When she got home, Chloe was distracted on a call and didn't ask many questions. Amelia was silently grateful. She wouldn't know how to explain why she was so anxious to go back up to that rooftop. She got there at the agreed-upon time. The wind was gentler this time, and Ethan was already there, sitting in the same corner, arms crossed, as if he'd been waiting for a long time, even if he pretended he hadn't. "Thought you were going to bail," he said, without looking at her. "I thought about it too," she replied, approaching with a shy smile. She sat next to him, but with some distance. They were both silent for a moment. "So," she began, "I was thinking of following your advice, cure sort of." He looked at her with suspicion. "Meaning?" "I downloaded a dating app," she said, showing him her phone. He let out a dry laugh. "Oh no, we're off to a bad start." "Why?" she laughed. "Everyone meets people on apps these days. That's exactly why. Everyone goes on thinking they'll find love, and they leave with another trauma." "You're so dramatic." "Realistic," he replied, mimicking her tone. "You want to learn how not to get left, right?" "Yeah, basically." "Okay, first tip, don't pour your soul out on a profile with 3 pictures and a bio that says, 'I love adventure.'" She burst out laughing. "But if I don't try, how will I meet anyone?" "You meet people every day. At work, on the street, at the grocery store. But the problem isn't where you meet them. And it's what you show when you do." She was quiet for a moment, thinking. "And what do I show?" "You show neediness. You show you're in a hurry. You show that you want to be chosen at any cost. And nobody falls in love with desperation." "Wow, thanks for being so gentle." "It's to help you, remember?" he said with a slight laugh. "Okay, so what should I show?" "Confidence." "Interest, yes, but never dependency. Men, at least the ones worth anything, like women who know their own value, who don't need to be loved to feel whole." Amelia was silent. That hit harder than she wanted to admit. "Wow, are you reading this from a manual or something?" she joked, trying to lighten the mood. "No, but I've been the guy who walked away many times. And after a while, you start to understand why." She looked at him curious. But she didn't ask any more questions, just stayed quiet for a few seconds. The wind blew softly, moving loose strands of her hair. She looked at her phone again as if it were an unknown world. "Okay," she said, her voice lower. "So tell me, what do I do now?" Ethan let out a soft sigh, crossing his arms. "Since you downloaded the app before listening to me, let's just go with it." Amelia gave a half-guilty smile. "It was an impulse." "It's fine, so do this. Pick a guy." She arched her eyebrows, surprised. "What do you mean, pick one?" "A profile that looks decent. Set up a date." Her eyes widened in surprise. "What?" "Consider it a test. I'll prepare you. You go, and then you tell me everything." "Are you serious?" "Of course I am. You want to change, don't you?" She was thoughtful. She swiped through profiles without much enthusiasm. Ethan crossed his arms and waited, with that mix of boredom and curiosity in his eyes. What if it's a disaster? Then we learn. And if it's amazing, we'll be suspicious. She laughed, shaking her head. You're really something else. Thank you. I'll take that as a compliment. It wasn't, she replied, smiling. Just pick one, Amelia, and let me know when it's set. Just don't show up dressed for a wedding at a coffee shop, okay? She let out a genuine laugh this time, the first one in days. Deal. But if I get cheated on again, it's your fault. If you do, I'll buy you pizza, he said, getting up from the bench. She smiled and nodded. And there, on that rooftop lit by the city, without realizing it, Amelia took the first step. Not just toward a new love, but toward herself. The next afternoon, while Ethan was working in his home office, his phone buzzed. A text from Amelia. I picked one. His name is Alex. Seems nice. We're meeting tomorrow night. At a little bar downtown. He let out a small smile. Texted back. Then get ready. Tomorrow, 6 p.m. on the rooftop. Operation Disaster Aversion begins. The next day, Amelia arrived on the rooftop right on time. She was wearing jeans, a basic tee, and white sneakers. Ready, she said confidently, holding out her arms. Ethan looked her up and down, not hiding his expression. This is ready? She frowned, confused. What, is it bad? It's not bad. It's comfortable. Like I'm just running to the store and I'll be right back. Oh, Ethan, I don't want to look like one of those women who gets all dressed up to impress someone. And I'm not talking about getting dressed up. I'm talking about presence, about walking in and making the guy forget how to breathe. She laughed. Wow, you're so dramatic. Truthful, he countered with a smile. So what should I wear, Mr. Consultant? He pointed to the door. Let's go. I'll help you pick something from your closet. Minutes later, they were in her room. Amelia was pulling hangers from the closet, while Ethan commented, sitting on the edge of the bed. This one? She showed him a tight black dress. No. You'll look like you're going to a stylish funeral, he said. This one, then? A short, sparkly red one. Oh, God, that screams, notice me, please. Ethan, she exclaimed. I'm just being honest. She crossed her arms, pouting. He got up, went to the closet, and pulled out a light, floral dress with a modern, flowy cut. This one. Fresh, unpretentious, but still irresistible. She took the dress, staring at it, as if she'd never noticed it before. This was Chloe's. I never thought it would look good on me. It will, but if you don't want to, you can go in jeans and hope he's blind. She playfully slapped his arm, laughing. You're unbearable. And you'll thank me later, he retorted, laughing too. A little later, ready, she returned to the rooftop. Her hair was down, the light dress dancing in the wind. Ethan crossed his arms and watched her for a moment. Amelia was ready, but she didn't seem as confident as she wanted to appear. You look beautiful, he said. But more importantly, you look like you, and that, believe me, is what's most attractive. She gave a faint smile. You think I can do this? I get nervous, I talk too much. Sometimes I forget the person's name. Relax, he said, approaching with a confident air. Alex doesn't seem like a tough guy. A little too serious, maybe, but receptive. He's a doctor, she commented, looking at her phone. He said he just got off a long shift, but he's excited for the date. A doctor? Oh, great. Off to a good start. Responsible, tired, and probably used to talking to walls. She laughed, then sighed. Oh my God. I'm going to ruin everything. I don't know how to flirt. I say thank you when someone compliments me like I'm accepting an award. Ethan gave a small smile. You won't ruin it. And even if you do, I'll be there. What? He held out a pair of tiny earbuds. Put this in. It's discreet. I'll be at a table in the restaurant, just watching. And if you freeze, I'll help you. Ethan, that's crazy. It's assisted emotional security, he replied with a wink. Trust me. She hesitated, then took the earbuds. But it's what if he sees? He won't. Let your hair down, let it be loose and natural. Those soft waves are the perfect disguise. He walked over to her and gently loosened her hair. Like that, perfect. You're beautiful, you're confident, and you have invisible backup. She bit her lip, nervous, but smiled. Okay, I'm going. Go conquer or quit, but don't disappear in the middle. Amelia laughed. Wow, so encouraging. Realistic. And good luck. She took a deep breath, carefully put in the earbud and went downstairs. Later at the restaurant, The atmosphere was cozy with soft music in the background. Alex was already waiting, sitting at a table near the window. Light blue dress shirt, a friendly smile. Amelia approached with a gentle smile. "Hi, Alex." "Hi, Amelia, right?" "A pleasure." They greeted each other and sat down. "You got here fast," he commented. "I thought you'd be late." I was early. I was excited," she said, trying to sound natural. Instantly, Ethan's calm voice came through the earbud. "Breathe, Mia. Don't say you were excited. Say you thought the place was beautiful." She adjusted herself, covering. "Actually, I thought this place was lovely. I love the vibe." Alex smiled. "I like it here, too." "It's like a refuge from the chaos." Ethan on the other side murmured, "Good sign. He likes quiet, go slow. No overdoing it." Amelia stayed steady, listening, smiling, trying to balance what she felt with what she heard. The conversation with Alex was going smoothly. He was polite, attentive, a doctor, and seemed genuinely interested in getting to know her. Amelia smiled, tried to stay calm, and ignore the discreet earbud. From a distance, Ethan watched, sitting at a table further back, pretending he wasn't there. But he was paying attention, very close attention. That's when an employee approached a nearby table and called out loudly, "Ethan, the kitchen staff is waiting for you. They need to sort some things out." Amelia froze for a second, looked around, and there he was, sitting calmly as if nothing was happening. Her neighbor, the Ethan, the owner of the rooftop, the giver of advice, and now the owner of the restaurant too. She hid her shock. But inside, her heart was racing. Ethan stood up slowly, walked past her, without making direct eye contact. But he said, almost in a whisper as he passed, "Relax, you're doing great, just control that foot that won't stop tapping." She blushed. And Alex didn't even notice. He just commented, "Is everything okay?" Amelia forced a smile. "Yes, I just thought, this restaurant is bigger than it looks." Alex agreed, suspecting nothing. Minutes later, Ethan returned. He sat down discreetly at the other table, as if he had never left. The dinner continued. And at the end, Alex walked her back to her building. At her apartment door, he paused for a moment. He looked at her with a calm smile. "I had a really great time, Mia. You're different. You know how to listen. You have a calmness that's rare these days." She smiled, surprised. "Thank you. It was really nice. My hours at the hospital are kind of crazy, but if you'd like to do this again, we can make it work. Sound good?" "It does," she replied sincerely. He moved closer slowly, leaned his face toward hers, and the kiss happened. Sweet, gentle, a calm kiss, no rush, no demands. Afterward, he smiled again. "Good night, Mia." "Good night." He went down the stairs, and she went inside. But instead of going straight to her room, she went up. The rooftop was calling her again. Up there, Ethan was already leaning against the railing, drinking something from a simple glass, as if he had been waiting for her. "So?" he asked without looking. "Can I give my verdict yet?" She laughed, approaching him. "Verdict? Of course. If he texts you wanting to see you again, it means you passed the test. If he disappears, well, you might need a few more lessons." "So arrogant," she laughed. "Realistic. But relax. You did well." She sat on the floor, leaning against the wall. "Why do you think so?" Ethan turned his head slightly, as if hesitant to speak, but spoke anyway. "Because he listened to you. Because you were light without seeming needy. You left space, and that, Mia, is rare." She was silent for a moment. "And how do you know all of this worked?" "Because I watched him, the way he looked at you, and how much he opened up. Not everyone talks about their 24-hour shift with a smile on their face." She smiled, looking down. "And you? Have you ever had a date like that?" "No," he said directly, "because the women I go out with aren't like you." She looked at him, surprised. "What do you mean?" "They talk more than they listen. They want to show something, prove something. You don't. You are just there, present, for real." Amelia blushed a little. She didn't quite know what to say. Her phone buzzed. She picked it up. It was a text from Alex. "Got home safe. Already wanting to plan the next one. Let me know when you're free." She smiled and looked at Ethan. Message received. "Then congratulations, student. First lesson completed successfully. She laughed. Does that mean there will be a second one? If you want. The class continues. Amelia stayed there for a few more minutes. The sky was already starting to change color, announcing the end of the night. She looked at Ethan thoughtfully and asked, a little awkwardly, "How do you know so much about all of this? Have you dated a lot?" He gave a short laugh. "No, I don't date. Relationships have never been for me." "But why?" "I have my reasons." She fell silent. "Well, good night, Ethan." "Good night, Mia." She left the rooftop and went back to the apartment. Chloe was sitting on the couch, with a glass of wine in her hand and a curious smile on her face. "Well, well, where did you disappear to?" Amelia took off her shoes and plopped down on the couch next to her. "I went out for some air and ended up meeting a very nice doctor." What? What do you mean? You went on a date?" She laughed, a little embarrassed. It was kind of unexpected, but it was good, really. Chloe sat up on the couch, excited. "I don't believe it. You went out, met someone, and came back smiling. Who are you and what have you done with my friend?" Amelia laughed out loud. "Oh, Chloe, I don't even know. But I think I'm trying to change. Enough drama, right?" Chloe looked at her warmly. "And it's working, you know. You seem different, lighter. Even your eyes look different." Amelia didn't answer. She just smiled, but her thoughts were already far away. Not on Alex, but on Ethan. Something about him got to her, even if she couldn't explain what it was. The next morning, the alarm went off early. She got ready with more energy than usual, put on some light lipstick, pinned her hair to the side, and left. The elevator took longer than usual. When it finally arrived, she got in and came face to face with Ethan. He was there, standing next to a stunning woman, laughing at something she had just said. "Okay, call me later, all right?" the woman said, fixing her hair with a sly smile. Ethan just nodded, saying nothing. Amelia stood frozen, her heart tightening. But she pretended not to care. When the elevator stopped, he got out first. She was left behind alone, staring at her reflection in the brushed steel wall. She huffed quietly. "Of course, Mia. Taking relationship advice from a guy like that, a guy who doesn't care about women and doesn't even want a relationship. Congratulations to me," she muttered, rolling her eyes. She shook her head, took a deep breath, and walked out, trying to ignore the knot that had formed in her chest. At work, while Amelia was organizing some papers, her phone buzzed. It was a text from Alex. "Hey, Mia, I really enjoyed getting to know you. How about a quieter coffee tomorrow?" She smiled. She liked the idea, but she didn't tell Ethan anything. She wanted to see if she could handle it on her own this time. The next day, she chose a discreet outfit. Jeans, a turtleneck sweater, and a simple bun. She looked in the mirror and whispered, "I can do this. I don't need him for everything." The coffee shop was charming on a quiet little street. Alex was already there, sitting, reading on his phone. "Hi," she said, smiling. "Hi, Mia. So glad you could make it," he replied warmly. They sat down, ordered, but soon the silence settled in. She was nervous, trying to force conversation, laughing at everything, trying to please him. "Do you like strong coffee? Because the one here is great. But of course, if you don't like it, we can order something else. I don't mind, really. Or if you want to go somewhere else, we could find another coffee shop, or even—" "Mia, is everything okay?" he asked, cutting her off gently. She froze, took a deep breath. "Yeah, it's just, I get a little anxious sometimes." Alex smiled, understanding, but he no longer seemed as comfortable. "Relax, we're just talking. It's not a job interview." She laughed, embarrassed. But the conversation didn't flow. She jumped from topic to topic, talked about herself the whole time. And as much as Alex tried, it was clear that the magic of the first night was fading. After about 40 minutes, he glanced at his watch. "Mia, I'm sorry. Something came up at the hospital. I have to go." "Of course. It's okay," she said, trying to hide her disappointment. He stood up, polite, gave her a quick kiss on the cheek, and left. Amelia was left there alone, her coffee getting cold, and her heart deflated. She sighed, picked up her phone, and opened her last conversation with Ethan. She stared at the screen for a moment, biting her lip. Then she typed, "Are you free tonight?" Message sent. Now she had to wait. She knew she needed him, Not just for the advice, but because somehow he made her see things she couldn't see herself. Ethan was sitting on the rooftop. Amelia arrived slowly without making a sound. When he noticed her, he let out a sigh and turned his head just slightly. "Well, look who decided to show up," he said with irony. "And unannounced." She smiled sheepishly. "I needed to talk to you." "Oh, now you need me, right? Because yesterday it seemed like you didn't need me so much." He crossed his arms. "You went alone. I bet you thought you could handle it without me." She looked down. "I tried. I really did. I thought I could, but I almost ruined everything." Ethan let out a dry laugh. "Almost? You have no idea how much I'm holding back from saying I told you so. You can say it. I deserve it. It was a disaster. I talked too much, I laughed nervously, I interrupted him. In the end, he left in a hurry before we even got dessert." Ethan raised an eyebrow, surprised. "Seriously?" She nodded. "And I realized I still need help." He was silent for a moment. Then he gave a small smile. "Okay, let's start over then. But this time, you listen to me. No playing the independent woman at the wrong time." She smiled, relieved. "I promise." As they talked, her phone buzzed. A text from Alex. "Sorry, I was tired. But I liked you. How about we try again? There, calmer dinner tonight." She showed it to Ethan as if asking for help. "What should I reply?" He took the phone, read it, and looked up at her. "You're going to reply that you can't tonight. That your schedule is tight. You need to seem interesting. Not desperate. But he'll give up. If he gives up because of that, he wasn't that interested to begin with. You need to show that your life doesn't revolve around a date." She took a deep breath and wrote, "Hi, so nice to hear from you. I can't tonight. But let me know your availability, and we can figure out a day." "Done," she said, showing him. Ethan was looking over her shoulder, with that curious gaze. "Now till we wait," he said, leaning back against the low wall. A few seconds later, the phone buzzed. Amelia read the reply out loud. "How about tomorrow, then?" She looked at Ethan, excited. "Tomorrow is great, right?" He frowned immediately. "No, not tomorrow either." She rolled her eyes, impatient. "Oh, for God's sake, Ethan. Am I ever going to see this man? You're not ready yet. You lack confidence in your eyes, and you still stutter when you get nervous. If you go tomorrow, you'll stumble over your words. And maybe your own purse." She crossed her arms. "So what do I say? That I'm on a spiritual retreat?" Ethan smirked. "Tell him you already have other plans." Amelia took a deep breath and typed, "I can't tomorrow either. I already have other plans." A moment later, another reply. "Friday then?" "If you're available," she read. "And now, Professor?" "Friday." He paused, thoughtful. Then he nodded with a slight smile. "That could work. It'll give me time to prepare you better." "Phew," she replied, laughing. "Friday then. But no surprises, okay? No sneaking out again." She held up her hands as if making a promise. Word of a regretful student. They smiled, and the sky above them seemed a little less dark that night. The days flew by. Between conversations on the rooftop, laughter and unexpected advice, Ethan and Amelia seemed to find a rhythm. She wasn't crying anymore, and he was no longer just the arrogant neighbor. Friday arrived. Amelia appeared on the rooftop just before her date. She was wearing a light green dress that highlighted her figure without being over the top. Hair down, soft makeup, and that sparkle in her eyes that you can't buy. Ethan, who was leaning against the wall with his arms crossed, looked her up and down. For a moment he lost his breath, but he hid it. "So?" she asked, tucking her hair behind her ear. "How do I look?" He took longer than usual to answer. Then, in a lower tone than usual, he said, "You look beautiful." Amelia smiled, surprised by his sincerity. "Wow, thank you." He blinked, trying to break the mood. But still, no need to overdo it, right? She laughed. "You're silly. Go on. Alex is going to be enchanted." "Are you going to be there?" Ethan shook his head slowly. "No, I can't tonight." "And you're ready now." She looked at him with a mix of affection and nervousness. "Are you sure?" "I am. Go on, Mia." She took a deep breath, nodded, and went downstairs. The date was light, fun. Alex was charmed. He laughed, asked questions, wanted to know more about her. Amelia was confident, natural, and without that heavy look in her eyes she used to carry. While Amelia was smiling in the restaurant, talking with Alex, Ethan was alone on the rooftop, sitting in the same corner as always, staring at the sky, but this time his thoughts were racing. He tried to focus on his phone, on some music, on anything, but her image kept appearing uninvited. Her smile. The light way she touched her hair when she was nervous. Her laugh, a little shy, a little free. He closed his eyes, tilted his head back, and let out an impatient sigh. "What the hell?" he muttered. He stood up suddenly as if trying to escape his own mind. He paced the rooftop with long, restless strides. He stopped, picked up his phone, stared at the screen for a few seconds. Then he typed quickly, "Come by later, like around 10, I'm home." The message was sent. No name, no explanation. He put his phone in his pocket, ran a hand over his face and said quietly to himself, "I need to get this girl out of my head, urgently. She's not for me." But deep down, he knew it wasn't that simple. At the end of the night, when Alex dropped Amelia off at home, he said with a smile, "I want to see you again." She smiled back, "I want to too." They kissed again and then he left. As she walked toward her building, she felt a tightness in her chest. And it wasn't because of Alex. It was because of someone else. A certain neighbor with an intense gaze, who provoked her with sharp words and unsettling advice. "Ethan, I shouldn't be thinking about him," she muttered to herself, adjusting the strap of her purse on her shoulder. "He doesn't want anyone. He's made that clear." She entered the lobby and pressed the elevator button. While she waited, she heard footsteps behind her. She turned and her heart gave a little jump. It was the same woman she had seen that morning, getting out of the elevator with Ethan. Sleek hair, flawless makeup, a tight dress, and high heels. This time even more done up. The woman gave a slight, forced, almost mocking smile. Amelia responded with a quiet, uncomfortable hi. The elevator arrived. They both got in. Amelia pressed the button for the 6th floor. The woman remained silent, and then she pressed the button for the 7th floor. Amelia's stomach dropped. She didn't need to ask. She knew. The 7th floor was the penthouse. That floor was Ethan's. The silence in the elevator felt heavier than the air. The woman glanced at her sideways as if to say, "It's exactly what you're thinking." Amelia looked away, swallowing hard. She felt a strange mix of anger, sadness, and disappointment. Not with him, but with herself. How can I be thinking about someone like that? She thought silently. When the elevator reached the 6th floor, she got out quickly without looking back. But her heart, it stayed behind, stuck on the lit button for the 7th floor. Chloe was in the living room, with a glass of wine in her hand and a skincare mask on her face when Amelia walked in. "So?" she asked with a curious little smile. "How was the date with Dr. Dreamy?" Amelia took off her shoes and threw herself on the couch, dropping her purse beside her. "It was nice." Chloe arched an eyebrow. "Just nice? He's kind, polite, smart. He took me to a great restaurant, talked about travel, stories from the hospital." She sighed. "It was all fine. But I don't know. I feel like I should be more excited." Chloe leaned back on the couch, studying her friend with that look that saw beyond the obvious. "Mia, what's going on? You seem distant." "It's nothing, Chloe, I swear. You always say that when it's something." Amelia gave a weak smile, trying to hide it. "I think I'm just scared of getting my hopes up again. You know, I don't want to repeat the same mistakes. I don't want to give myself to someone and get my heart broken." Chloe nodded slowly. "Okay, but I know you. When you like someone, you overflow. And right now you're holding back from overflowing for someone else." Amelia looked away, swallowing hard. "That's not it." "Mia, it's not, Chloe, really, it's just I'm still trying to find myself." Chloe didn't push. She just handed her the glass. "Then have some wine. At least you can find yourself in this." They both laughed, but there was a silence in the air, a silence that said everything Amelia wasn't ready to admit yet. A few days later, Amelia was sitting on the living room couch, wrapped in a blanket, staring at her phone. Ethan's name was there, but she wasn't typing anything. After that night in the elevator, after seeing that woman go up to his apartment, something inside her had crumbled. "What am I doing?" she thought. Chloe appeared in the living room, drying her hair with a towel after her shower. "Everything okay?" she asked, glancing at her phone. Amelia gave a small smile. "Yeah, just thinking. About the doctor, Alex." She hesitated before answering. "Him too?" Chloe arched a suspicious eyebrow. "Mia, you've been weird since that dinner. What's going on?" "Nothing," she replied, standing up. "I think I just need to get my head straight. On my own." She locked herself in her room and leaned her forehead against the door. She didn't want this turmoil anymore. Not Alex, not Ethan, she just wanted peace. The next day she left a note for Chloe and went out early. She spent the day away, went to the park, walked around downtown, sat and watched the city move. That night Ethan sent a text. "Not coming up to the rooftop tonight?" She took a while but replied, "I think it's best if we take a break. You've taught me enough." On the other side, Ethan stared at the screen, serious. "So you're ready to move on with Alex then?" She read it and didn't know what to reply. After a few minutes, she typed, "I'm trying." Ethan just put his phone aside and stared into space. "Damn it," he muttered to himself, frustrated. But he didn't reply. On Saturday, Amelia got ready calmly. An elegant dress, light makeup, a forced smile in the mirror. She tried to be excited, but something inside her felt silent. Alex was waiting for her at a new restaurant with a small bouquet of flowers. "So good to see you," he said, handing her the flowers. "You look beautiful." She thanked him with a gentle smile, but not as genuine as before. They sat, ordered wine, talked. He told her about his shift at the hospital, about a difficult case, about the rush. Amelia listened, asked questions, but her mind wandered. She remembered the rooftop, the conversations with Ethan, the way he looked at her, direct, unfiltered, the way he saw what she hid even from herself. "Is everything okay?" Alex asked, interrupting her thoughts. "Yes, sorry," she replied, shaking her head. "Just distracted. I thought we connected on those other dates." She tried to hide her discomfort. "I thought so too, but maybe I got ahead of myself." He forced a smile. "It happens. I'd still like to see you again." "Of course," she lied out of politeness. The dinner ended. He dropped her off at home. This time there was no kiss. When Amelia entered the apartment, she sighed deeply, threw the flowers in the sink, sat on the couch hugging her knees. "What is happening to me?" It wasn't that Alex didn't shine. It was that someone else had already lit a different kind of light inside her. And as much as she denied it, that person was Ethan. A few days passed. The sky was grey and the city felt stuffy, as if it were holding a secret. Amelia went for a walk with no real destination. She needed to breathe, to get her thoughts in order, or to forget, at least for a moment, the two names that haunted her, Alex and Ethan. She passed a charming coffee shop on the corner and decided to go in. She ordered a latte and a croissant, sat near the window, lost in her own thoughts. That's when she heard the coffee shop door open, and a familiar voice order, an espresso, strong. Her heart leaped. She turned her head slowly. It was him, Ethan, dark t-shirt, jeans, hair perfectly messy. His eyes scanned the room until they met hers. For a second, time stood still. He hesitated, surprised. Then he walked toward her calmly. "Coincidence," he said, stopping in front of her table. "Or are you following me?" She gave a small smile. "The city's too small to run from you, apparently." "May I?" She nodded and he sat down. There was a brief silence. Neither of them seemed to know where to begin. "Did you go on the date with the doctor?" he asked, trying to sound indifferent. She took a deep breath. "I did." "And?" "And it wasn't what I expected." He arched an eyebrow. "Did you follow my advice?" She laughed, a genuine laugh for the first time that day. "I followed everything perfectly. But still, I didn't feel anything." "And him?" "He still wants to see me." Ethan was silent for a while, stirred his coffee, looked out the window. "Does that mean you're going to accept?" "I don't know." She looked at him for a few seconds. "Actually, I just wish things were easier." "They're not," he said. "But sometimes we complicate them more by trying to get it right all the time." Amelia crossed her arms. "And you? Are you going out with that girl from the other day?" He didn't answer right away, just glanced quickly in her direction. It was nothing, just a distraction. She frowned, confused by what she felt. Relief, jealousy, anger? You're an enigma, Ethan. He smiled, but there was a weariness in his eyes. And you're a surprise. She bit her lip, looking away. He then spoke in a lower tone. You walked into my routine like you didn't mean to. And now I can't go a day without wondering how you are. Amelia looked up. Her heart was beating faster, but she needed to be sure. Is this just friendship, or... Ethan got serious, his gaze firm. This is something I still don't understand. But I know I don't want to see you with someone else. She smiled shyly, lightly. The coffee was getting cold on the table. But for the first time, the warmth between them was heating up something more. The silence between them wasn't uncomfortable. It was thick, loaded with everything they didn't have the courage to say yet. Amelia stirred her now cold coffee. Ethan just watched her. His eyes firm, but with something different there now. Vulnerability. She broke the silence. You always run when things get real. Why? Ethan took a deep breath. He looked out the window, as if searching for the words outside. Because I don't know how to deal with it. With feelings. With people expecting too much from me. She leaned in slightly, attentive. Did someone hurt you? He hesitated. But he answered. I loved someone once and for real. And I thought she loved me back. He paused, but in the end, I was just an option. Never the priority. And when you give your all and it's still not enough, something inside you breaks. Amelia felt her chest tighten. His pain was silent but deep. Since then, I've been like this. I avoid getting involved. I avoid feeling, because feeling for me became synonymous with losing. She moved a little closer. Their hands were on the table but not touching. And now? Ethan looked at her, as if he were seeing something new. Now, you showed up. Messed everything up, made me want to be close, and that scares me more than any disappointment. Amelia smiled with her eyes, and in a low voice, as if not to scare away the truth, she said, You deserve someone who sees all of that in you, someone who chooses to stay, even knowing you're in pieces. He blinked slowly, as if holding back an old emotion. You deserve someone whole, Mia, and I'm still trying to pick up my pieces. She leaned in a little more, her face close to his, her breath lighter. Then pick up your pieces next to mine. And in that instant, no rush, no fear, he moved closer and kissed her. Slow, intense, true. The kiss happened slowly. Neither of them expected it. But when their lips met, time seemed to stop. Amelia felt something different. It wasn't anxiety or neediness. It was like a good warmth blooming from within, a comfort, a quiet certainty. It was light, but at the same time strong. She closed her eyes and let herself go. And for a moment, everything was peaceful. When they pulled apart, her eyes were still closed. Her heart was racing. Her breath was short. She opened them slowly and met his gaze. Ethan looked different, quieter, more present. And there was something there, in the way he looked at her, as if he were trying to understand what had just happened. As if, without realizing it, he had let a part of himself escape. She touched her face, feeling her warm cheeks. She took a small step back. That was... She began, but didn't finish. The words wouldn't come. I know, he said quietly, looking away. But she knew. He had felt it too. Maybe for the first time in a long time. Ethan allowed himself to feel something real. Amelia stood there, quiet, her heart pounding and her mind confused. Because that kiss, it wasn't like Alex's. It was more. So much more. She couldn't explain it. She just knew something had changed inside her. And maybe inside him too. A few weeks passed. Amelia and Ethan were on the rooftop again, this time with a different atmosphere. Chloe appeared with a bottle of wine, smiled and winked at them, like an accomplice to their moment. Meanwhile, on Amelia's phone, a message from Alex popped up. She looked at it, hesitated, and decided to ignore it. Looking at the starry sky, she sighed softly and said, It's funny. I found a new love while trying to forget an old one. Ethan smiled, pulling her close in a gentle hug. The silence between them was comfortable, full of promises. It wasn't about finding the right man. It was about becoming the right woman. And along the way, he showed up. If you loved Ethan and Amelia's story, leave your rating from 0 to 10 in the comments below. Tell us what touched you the most in this story. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next chapters and other emotional stories. Thanks for being here with me, and I'll see you in the next video.